Hey horror fans, this is Jackie with the Sirens of Scream. Today we're bringing you a brand new segment we're calling Double Tap. This is where we bring you some awesome fun content to tide you over until our next episode. These little chunks of horror fun will be a bit more on the casual side, and will include things that range from interviews with incredible people, haunting real-life stories, trivia nuggets, maybe even some games, drawings, and contests. They may feature just one of us Sirens or all three of us at any given time. As always, if you have any requests, suggestions, or ideas for us, hit us up. Today, I'm extremely happy to introduce our very first Double Tap featuring two beloved actors from the cult 1987 classic horror film, Monster Squad. We have Andre Gower and Ryan Lambert joining us. Sierra and I will ask them all kinds of questions, and we'll jump right into it after this break with them telling us all about their Monster Squad days.
Such sights to show you.
When you're there doing it, it's all kind of compressed, and you got to get a lot done in a short amount of time. And we don't really notice that, I don't think, but I think everybody else does. But we just kind of had fun and show up, say your lines, hang out with some cool people, see some stuff blow up, and some monsters. And I mean, that's what I took away on the at the time.
Yeah, it was a pretty surreal experience for me personally. Just sort of. I kind of grew up not really liking Halloween rubber masks and things like that. Like, kind of was freaked out by all that and never really enjoyed Halloween. So here I am on this set and actual.
Hey, you're not Wes Frankenstein.
Yeah, actually, not just some dork in a costume walking down the street asking for candy. Dracula is really standing there in front of me. It's not that I was always afraid of that stuff. It's just I just kind of had to get over my sort of weirdness about the whole thing, and I was all right, well now I'm actually going to I get to actually kill these things. so let's roll.
Yeah. Were you afraid of those kinds of Universal monsters as kids, or were you really into them?
No, it wasn't so much that. I just didn't like people in masks. So during Halloween, it was just ugh, it just freaked me out that it wasn't you, and you were acting like someone. If you were just dressed as someone, you just had makeup on your face, it was fine. But someone put on a rubber mask, it totally freaked me out.
Yeah. Had I known.
Yeah, right.
Had I known.
That's over. It's over. It won't work now.
Oh,
I don't care.
Is it? Is it?
I think that's worth testing, personally.
Halloween is coming up.
That's true.
So
so how do you guys feel about horror these days?
I kind of like I like where it goes sometimes. I like it more when it's just more like a thriller. I just saw Don't Breathe, which I thought
that was crazy.
Did
movie.
you like it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I really my heart was pounding through the whole thing. I went to see it by myself in the afternoon, and sometimes horror can be fun, slashery, Freddy Krueger-ish kind of thing, and then sometimes it's just really intense, heart pounding, Don't Breathe or something. Then I like that.
Yeah.
I really liked what was that one last year? I'm blanking on the name. It was amazing.
Describe the monster in it.
There wasn't a monster. It Follows. That was it.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
There you go. Yep.
It really builds up the tension in that one.
Bailed me out of that one. Yeah, things like that are where I more I tend to go. Then there's things cheesy stuff on Netflix Wolf Cop and things like that that are fun to watch.
I haven't heard of that one. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Wolf Cop.
Gotta go see Wolf Cop.
I think we're coming into. I think horror's getting better because we're coming out of the found footage, house, security camera thing. But I think some of the filmmakers are coming back to what they grew up liking as genre kids, putting a new current type of horror/thriller experience, and I think some are coming through, like Don't Breathe and things like that. And there's a lot of young directors out there and filmmakers that really dig old horror because that's their kind of thing. And they're making movies now and they're festivaling and they're getting their feet wet in that kind of genre because it's a genre for a reason. But now horror used to just be a genre, but now it's a huge box with a bunch of different little cubby holes in it of different types of horror movies, and everybody's trying to figure out what kind they like. But I think there's a crop of young film directors that they may be 90s kids, but they like 80s and 70s movies. And they're creating these films that kind of give a little, kind of foundational aspect to those, but putting a new current spin on them, which I think is the best of what you can do with anything.
What are you guys watching? Like, what kind of horror are you guys watching right now?
We watch a little bit of everything.
Give me some titles so that I can,
We've been all about Stranger Things recently, like everybody has.
Yeah.
Of course.
Great. And then moving on from that.
Right. I know you guys have some strong feelings about Stranger Things there. What was the one I just watched over the weekend? Oh, Starry Eyes, which... have you guys seen that one?
No.
Okay, that's about a young woman who was trying to break into the Hollywood film scene. So, and it's actually very interesting because it's a bunch of young actors who are just trying to get their start and what they have to do to get that start in Hollywood. And then it takes a drastic, gory, and disgusting turn, and it's really kind of amazing.
I definitely want to see that story. Where do I see that?
I think it's actually on Netflix right now.
Beep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Putting on list. Boop, beep, boop, boop, beep.
And actually, our next Sirens of Screen episode is going to be 31 suggestions of horror to last you all through October. So, if you want any suggestions, you might want to look out for that one.
Okay, check that one. Yeah, maybe we will.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good idea. I like that idea.
31 suggestions?
Yeah. I'll get through.
TM. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I love the concept. No, I'm saying I'm looking forward to seeing the suggestions.
No, we're stealing it. We're stealing it. Episode 4.
No.
32 suggestions.
32. Oh, okay.
6-minute ads.
Where are you guys? Like, you guys are in different spots, I see.
Yeah, I'm in Savannah.
Like you're at in a mall, like in a food court.
Yes.
I am.
You are?
I'm literally in a food court. Yep. Yeah, no, I had to stop at the craft store on my way home.
Nice.
So there are people around you going like, what is happening right now? Like, what are you doing?
No.
No, everybody's on their computer.
Doing a
Typical.
podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
You're so old.
We were actually talking about this before you guys jumped on. She's in a food court, like, right outside Microsoft there, so it's a bunch of techies there out in that mall, so I don't think any of them are going to give her a second
It's
look.
just a bunch of nerds. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm over here at home with my bunnies, so yeah, there's that. But let's...
Everyone's a nerd now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Everybody that's cool.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they flip the switch on everybody. Like,
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we have the technology to all be nerds, so that's very helpful.
We have the technology.
Yeah, it became pretty easy.
You can rebuild it.
Once superheroes were all of the blockbusters.
Yeah. Wait, yeah.
We have
Breaking up! She's breaking up! Sorry.
No, we love it.
We just $6 million manned out for there for a second.
We need a $6 million nerd intro there. That'd be great.
That's right. No.
That was a little too...
No, that was a little early, yeah.
Andre seems to have turned up on all these like different 80s action shows that I didn't know. I'm like in the middle of the night, I'm like one eye open, like I've had a few drinks, and I'm like watching an 18 marathon, and all of a sudden little Andre comes on with like chopping down a tree with Mr. T. I'm going, what is happening? Is that Andre? Is he on 18? Oh my god, I think I'm dreaming.
No, it's real.
And then I started thinking, if I'm dreaming, why would I dream about this?
And most dream about me chopping down a tree with Mr. T. That's right. Yeah, probably wouldn't. I hope you wouldn't be dreaming.
I don't know. That sounds like a pretty cool dream.
It wasn't Mr. T. Anyway, sorry. Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Back.
See, sorry, this is what happens. It goes.
We love it. That's fun for us. So, you guys are doing this fan documentary about Monster Squad. It's called Wolfman's Got Nards, which, for one, props for the name. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. But tell us a little bit about that. What's that going to be like?
Where'd you hear
that? Look to your right.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's that way.
Oh, yeah, that way.
Yeah, it's it's a concept that I kind of played with a couple months ago and thought it would just be fun to do something small and interesting. And as I looked into it a little bit further, and then I started shooting it back and forth with a couple people and then Ryan, we realized that it really could be a thing, because over the last 10 years, we've done so many great events and festivals and screenings and conventions and, DVD releases at Comic-Con, etc. And we've met a ton of really great Monster Squad fans. And we realized really early that there's something different about Monster Squad fans that's not the typical, I'm a genre kid, so therefore I like your movie because it falls in this category. It's a really singular type of connection, and it means something to these people. And years ago I started asking, why does it mean so much to you? Why does it mean so much to you? You got these great kind of responses and stories, and you get sent stuff and explanations all across the country and the world of why these people liked it. But what's more fascinating is why they still are that connected to it, 29 years later. Next year is going to be 30. So I thought it would be a really neat look into answering that question. And, Ryan and I, together can kind of ask that question. Who better to ask that question and to make something, for the fans, about the fans. It's not about us. It's not about the movie. It's not about, all that. It's about the fans and why this movie means so much to them. So that's the basic concept. And we've got a lot of...
With them in it.
With them in it. So it's, there's a lot of cool things planned for it. We will save that detailed information to the next time we do your podcast and give you some updates. But there's a lot of cool people involved. They're going to be on camera. A lot of industry names that we're going to line up. And a lot of cool stuff planned for the documentary to make it a little bit more fun and more interesting than the normal kind of fan doc that you see out there.
Well done. So Monster Squad is pretty much a cult classic. It really is something that is very loved in a cult classic kind of way. Do you think it would have been bigger had it been released today?
No. Well, it would have been a different movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been completely different. It would have had like these incredible effects, and we would have been able to say the things that the kids said then. I think that's what makes it really special, and I think that's what makes it special to fans too, because it reminds them of a time, a different era of their lives when maybe things were a little more simple. You did bring up Stranger Things, things like that. It does have that nostalgic feel for them. I think right now it just would have been too overblown, and the effects would have been crazy, and probably would have got buried in some summer release. And I think what happened with it is exactly what should have happened with it.
Right on.
It's nice that it kind of came out. Yes, there were some problems with whatever, if you want to look at marketing or whatever and all that blah 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 blah. But people found it on VHS and Laserdisc and whatever, and it became what it is today. And I think that makes it so much more special.
I absolutely agree with you there. One thing I've noticed about Monster Squad fans, like you said, they are extremely loyal. Like, you guys, I mean, you didn't have a huge product line or anything like that, but, like, Jacob over there, one of the first things I knew about him upon meeting him is that he has a Stephen King Rules shirt. I don't think I've ever seen that, like, actually produced anywhere. But even my husband has one that's handmade too, and it's nuts.
Yeah, well, that kind of really what I love to see is to see the red and yellow Stephen King rule shirts are the ones that people make them. They make their own, and it's like I want it, and that's exactly what Sean Crenshaw wore. I mean, that's a dorky kid in Anytown, USA, who's a monster nerd and a Stephen King fan, and makes an iron-on shirt that says Stephen King rules. And nobody in 7th grade or 6th grade is reading Stephen King.
Right.
And that's what made that shirt awesome, and ended up becoming iconic. Mm-hmm. And in its own little kind of sense in our own little Monster Squad bubble here. But yeah, they're out there. You can actually get them a couple places, including RyanandAndre.com.
Is that right?
And they're better there because they can be signed if you want them. But,
nice.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I love when I see those shirts. It doesn't matter where they come from. People have made other versions of them and kind of mashed things up or done different colors, and it's just kind of neat. So yeah, where do you get that all the time? I mean, there's not many people walking around in a Transformers Age of Extinction shirt that they handmade in their garage.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that here in the horror community, you see somebody wearing a Stephen King rules shirt, and you know exactly where it came from, and you instantly have a topic of conversation there.
That's the thing too. I was actually at one of the conventions we were just at. Someone was wearing one, and I said, "Do you wear this out, in your normal, or are you just wearing it right now because we're here and you're talking to them?" I said, "No, I wear this out." And I'm like, "Well, what do people think? It just says Stephen King rules. It looks pretty cheap, which is what it's supposed to look like."
Yeah.
And what do people say? What are people doing?" And he says, when someone knows what it is, the connection is so deep that we wind up becoming friends. Mm-hmm. Or we wind up having a conversation for a long time. And, that's what I mean by special, If someone's wearing, the Goonies shirt or, E.T., it's you're not
pick that up at a Hot Topic.
Oh, you're wearing a Goonies shirt. But, if you see this particular thing, it's pretty... There's a huge connection there.
Well, I think you can get a Goonie shirt at Hot Topic.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly
right. It's not as special.
Yeah, my husband literally walks around in this old red beat-up shirt with these little felted iron-on letters that somebody's mother made him because they knew he was a big fan of Monster Squad.
Aww.
Oh, really?
That's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Dork.
Yeah, he's a big dork. So, is the documentary coming out to coincide with the 30th anniversary? Is that a goal, or...?
Maybe.
Just coincidental?
Very strong coincidence, yeah.
Right now it's an ongoing process. We're trying to get as much information as we can. Mm-hmm. And we're sort of traveling the country and going to these conventions, and we're going to interview a bunch of people, and we'll see what happens. And we're just going to sort of edit as we go along. And when we feel that we have something that we're ready to present to people, then we'll put it out. But basically, I think our goal is to yes, the 30th anniversary is coming out. So we want to make sure that we have something for the fans at the end of the day.
Are there any other cast members getting in on that, or is it just you guys running with this?
We'll have, obviously we'll have as many people as we can, on camera, make appearance or be a part of it. But it's mostly me and Ryan, and right now a little solid core of production team that we're working with. And Ryan and I are kind of, the lead faces for it, and kind of guiding, what we want with it. And on the production side, it's great, and on the creative side, it's even cooler. And like Ryan says, we're going to come up with some really neat stuff, and it's almost this is kind of a return tribute to all the fans that have expressed their thoughts and feelings to us over the years, and it's give back and show that has been appreciated, and you're not alone, and you can now bond over something else. Instead of just your Stephen King rule shirt in the airport.
That's so cool.
The food court.
The food court over there. So, here's
Getting hungry now. It's almost like I want like a Sbarro.
I want my hair your hair color again. I used to have green hair just like you.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh. I've had every color. I've actually had purple hair too, so you're covered as well.
Yeah. So here's kind of a double question here. So if a Monster Squad sequel were to happen, how do you guys feel about that? And what do you think changed between the 80s and now that makes kids' movies seem a little more neutered? Like, say, the language, as an example. So if a Monster Squad sequel came out now, like, how would it differ? And would you guys even be interested in that?
I think that's what I was saying earlier about, like, the language, you know? It's like you can't say the things that we said, you know, in our film, calling someone a name or, like, using, you know, certain bad language. I don't think you'd be able to go see a kid's film, PG-13 these days, with or PG, whatever, with kids using bad language, and if it was, it would be like, oops, you know, but we like used it freely and like didn't, it was unapologetic. Like, this is how kids talk right now, and it's probably how kids talk now, but they wouldn't.
You just can't make that.
They just wouldn't be able. They would never put that in a film now.
Yeah.
You know, they were for 4 or 5 years. They were remaking it. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, they had made an announcement, and it happened to be a group of, you know, because Paramount still owned the production rights to that, title rights, and another company, you know, had jumped in there to actually produce it. They were working on a script with a writing team, and it ended up going into turnaround, which is kind of like on the shelf hell, because they couldn't get it right. Mm-hmm. And all at the same time, you know, all of the original fan base was, you know, they got out the pitchforks and the torches. And it was like, why, you know, don't do this, Hollywood. Don't mess with something. Why would you do this? Because you're only going to step all over it, and you can't, you know, because that, you couldn't remake anything that was anything similar to the original for the things that Ryan was just talking about. The language, you wouldn't be able to, you know, Rudy wouldn't be smoking. You know, the cast members probably all, you know, mixed up and changed out. The effects would have been all digital. There would probably been, and this is 5, 6, 7 years ago when I started this, so, you know, there are very little practical prosthetic makeup effects probably. That could be different going forward from today, though. If I don't think a remake needs to happen. You mentioned this. You know, a remake's different than a sequel, of course.
Yeah.
And a sequel's a much better idea.
The sequel means I get to kick some ass. But if they did do a remake, Rudy should be a chick.
You think so?
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome.
I agree.
I'd be into that.
Named Rudy.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
She's Rudy.
Yeah.
You know, ponytail, blonde, buffy chick. Just
Well, I think that's what I was mentioning when I said characters would be changed out to, you know, meet what, you know, fair people want to put out there. Usually
Sean
when
is a dog.
Usually when you change out stuff, it's disingenuous. But I think you could change it out now. Just putting stuff out to, you know, to accommodate or, you know, to assuage people's, you know, what they need, and they don't care. And I'm like Benji?
No,
no, Sean would be like Benji.
Sean's like a dog, but with this hat.
Oh.
Steak in its mouth.
So it's Brian from Family Guy in a hat,
Yes!
driving a Prius, staking vampires.
I would watch that. I think I would watch that.
He's a mouse.
Seth MacFarlane, call me. We'll work on
Hold
this.
on.
Secret.
It sounds animated.
But yeah,
Stuart Little as Phoebe.
I had a rather poignant.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. This is what happens.
This is what happens. And I was mentioning that when they remake something or try to put something out there, they usually kind of, you know, change out characters or create new things that step all over an original. And they really just kind of shove things down your throat for the sake of doing it. It's very disingenuous in my mind. And it's almost a cop-out sometimes, just to kind of put some salve on, you know, what could be a wound later. But, like, with Rudy being a young female hero, a great idea, but it's not as innovative. Our hero was a 5-year-old girl in 1987. Mm-hmm. The hero of this movie was a 5-year-old girl. More than once. Of course, she ends up being the only one that can, save the world. But she befriended the monster. She ends up getting some information. That was a little ahead of its time.
It was.
Yeah.
She was the least scared of any of us. Like, there's the ones... she, loved Frankenstein's monster. And then when she introduces us, we, run away and hide in trash cans and behind bushes and things.
Yeah, that's her friend. She's like, come on.
Aw.
Yeah.
And then winds up basically, I killed a few things. Sean...
She opens up a hole into another dimension.
Yeah, she
it's a little more powerful.
She opens the vortex and the monsters... She saved the world.
And she says, don't be chicken shit.
Right.
I think whomever decided to write her character like that was really looking at how reflective that is of actual kids, because when you look at how kids react to monsters, the younger they are, the less they actually care about them being scary, unless they think that they're that terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys have a great podcast called SquadCast, which you've had, 3 episodes so far?
Yeah, the third episode, which is part 1 of a 2-parter, with our first guest, just launched last night. And yeah, it's been a couple weeks. It's something that we wanted to do for a while, and I've wanted to do really bad for a while. And we just never really just made it happen. And the reason we have so much fun with it, or the reason we wanted to actually do it, is when Ryan and I just hang out, wherever it is, at a diner or at a bar or hanging out at our house, we come up, we just riff and we talk and we laugh, and we always say, why is this not being recorded? Because this is fun.
Why doesn't the rest of the world want to hear this?
That's right, and they do, or at least a small portion of them.
Yeah, I like that it's very conversational and it's very open. Like, I was sitting here listening to it, and my husband was in the room, and he and I were actually kind of talking with you guys in the first episode. Like, we're like, wait, but what about this, guys?
That's exactly what I feel that it should be, and that's what it's end up becoming on its own, is you can have a framework, and even if you have a guest or an interview thing, it can get very static and very, very disconnected from your listeners. And I feel that what we do with the podcast is it makes you, it's like you're in the room with us.
Yeah. And
you're a part of the conversation. And even though you can't participate, but you're still participating.
Yeah.
And, that gets even more and more as we go through. So, I think that's kind of...
Is there a way to do that? Can we do call-ins?
Yeah, you could.
You mean like we're doing right now?
No.
Yeah.
You're so old.
Oh, that's what this is?
So old.
Tell you what, if you guys need...
Ryan, it's with sound.
Look, it's in color.
Charlie
Chaplin's talking.
If you guys need any technical help there, Andre's got my email. Hit me up.
That's right.
Is this thing on? Bing, bing, bing. Sorry.
Talking to that yonder can there, Ryan. We're mass communicating.
No, but
you're so old.
But
waiting for me.
no.
It turns into a sword, though.
We're gonna get you a chair to go up the stairs.
This chair's on a rail. When I leave, it's going to go.
Every advertisement during daytime television is for you now.
Oh.
It's like a reverse. It's like, home assistance. It's a step-in tub.
It's time to get one of those life alert buttons.
For when you fall in and you
So, do you guys have any specific topics that you plan to cover on your show? I know it kind of goes with the flow in a very conversational way, but anything you're kind of holding out for or planning for?
I'd like to... we just had our first guest, so I'm kind of excited about having more guests on our show. that sort of have a little bit more insight into what is going on in the world of, the business at this point in time, either past or present, would be great. A lot of people don't know what it's like to actually struggle and figure out where their place is in the world of Hollywood and all that. And I think a lot of people would want to know how they got their start or whatever. But the main thing is just we start with a topic, and it could be that with a certain guest, and then it just snowballs into madness.
Fair enough.
I like the madness of the whole thing. I like that it's sort of just like whatever it is. It's fine. We don't have a script. There's no script.
Right.
I think we've written some framework notes of what we want to cover, and maybe circle back to if we were to look at the notepad.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't remember to look at the notepad.
Or we look over at the notepad and it's burning.
Who spilt a burrito on the notepad?
Let's forget it. Anyway, so how was your day?
So who's your first guest then?
Well, we already put it up. So.
Yeah, it's first guest is a comic based out of Boston who also has a podcast called The TV Guidance Counselor. His name's Ken Reed, and we've known him for a number of years, and we were actually guests. We've been guests individually on his podcast over, it's been 2 or 3 years now, and he's just a good guy. He's a funny guy. We're now pals, and he comes out to L.A., once or twice a year, and does a bunch of shows, does a bunch of podcasts, does some live comic stuff, and we get to hang out and have breakfast, and then we grabbed him and went to one of his stand-up gigs the other night, and then went back to his place and kind of cut our first podcast with a guest, and it went really long. So, as you can maybe imagine, with not just two dumbasses talking about stuff, but another
three. Yeah.
And it just went, and so we cut it into 2 parts, and so the second part will go later on this week. But it was fun. I mean, it's another one of those things where you still that it's just 3 guys talking. And it's interesting with Ken because he's a podcaster. He's on our podcast, but that's why it went so long and it went like that, really. And it's just like you're in the room with 3 guys talking about this random stuff, and but it's not random, is what's interesting.
Yeah, it's not always going to be like, hopefully we're going to get some some names that maybe some people, but for the most part, it's just, hey, who wants to come on and yap about crap?
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to talk about horror, we're available for you.
Absolutely, let's do it. We'll do it.
You're in. If you guys can get in the same room, and
that would take
we'll all go to the food court.
Let's go to the food court. We'll get it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's get Sabaro in on this. We can totally just eat pizza. Yeah.
No, it's by Microsoft. It's like they don't have. There's no gluten around there.
No, yeah, it's like.
What's the?
There's a Cold Stone. I mean,
a Cold
Stone. Pretty good.
Good.
Whoa.
Show us.
Yeah, there's a Starbucks.
Never heard of it.
I mean, there's options.
Never heard of it.
Starbucks. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been watching Charlie Chaplin.
Is that the name of that producer back in 35? Joey Starbuck. He said I could put you in a picture, but you got to come over here first and get in my limousine. Come into this Pullman rail car.
Let me show you my Cold Stone.
Creamery. The Cold Stone Creamery.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Sorry.
No. No apologies for that. We love it. You guys should have a chat room where people can type comments to you while you're talking live.
That's actually on
You can do that?
Yeah!
Isn't the internet so cool?
Ryan's still affected by his carrier pigeon dying. So I actually have it on a notepad for later on down in SquadCast to do a little bit more interaction. And one of the fun things that we want to do, and I've set up a couple locations around town, is actually go to a venue that we can do it live and invite people to come and hang out, so we have some actual live interaction.
Oh, that'd be rad.
That's even more fun. Of course, because they're local. But reaching the people that wouldn't get an opportunity to come to that is a great way to do it. Like in a chat or something like that. That is on a plan list with on the notepad that has the burrito sting.
The burrito
one
stays
that's on
important.
fire.
Yeah.
But it's a whole wheat tortilla, so it's all right.
Yeah. Everything's fine there. Yeah. Locally sourced, I'm sure.
Yeah, locally sourced from Van Nuys.
We're not in San Francisco.
So
No.
that would be much better. It would be much better.
So, I think we're going to wrap this up here, but is there anything else you guys want people to know? Where can we find you, and where can we keep up with your projects and such?
Well, Ryan and I are both on Twitter and Instagram, and then, of course, the best place to go is ryanandandre.com. Spelled out like it sounds. It gets a little confusing, but it's ryanandandre.com.
Wait, no, how do you spell and?
Yeah, A-N-D.
Oh.
A-N-D-R-E.
Oh.
No ampersand in the website. But, just search for SquadCast with Ryan and Andre, and or look at our Twitter handles, stuff like that. You get the list.
Sounds awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, guys. This has been a lot of fun for us.
Well, thanks for having us, and we'll hopefully get to do it in reverse next time on SquadCast, and if we can come back and hang out in the food court again, let's do it.
Sounds great.
Yeah.